To order, July 16th Development Review Committee will start with roll call. Community Development is present. Police,
Mike McKinley.
Public Works,
Dale Smith.
Fire,
Jeremy Holderfield.
and Building is not present. We have two special events this morning. The first one is the Apopka Altamont Springs VFW Tribute to Motown Dinner.
All right, the VFW is looking to host a dinner and show at the community center on August 16th from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. That is a Saturday. It is a dinner and live music fundraiser. They're expecting 275 people. There will be alcohol, so they will be hiring off duty. Their setup is very small tables, chairs, and a small stage production for the band. They will be using the building parking and the 5th Street parking lot for overflow.
Any questions in regards to this? Hearing none, Community Development has nothing further. Police,
I don't have anything, thank you.
Public Works,
I don't have anything.
and Fire.
No comments, thank you.
Thank you. Next one, Duderman Productions Country Concert.
Duderman Productions is looking to host a country show at the Apopka Amphitheater on Friday, October 17th from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. And they'll have about 1,200 people. They will be hiring off duty as well as a private security company. Their setup will include stage production, merchandise tents, food and beverage concessions, and they'll probably have like 10 by 10 tents, but nothing larger. There will be alcohol, and parking will be located at Gate 5 Barbecue Row. We'll have our parking contract to help assist with parking people and egress, and we'll also be using the surrounding paid parking areas.
Any questions? Hearing none, Community Development has nothing further. Police,
I don't have anything, thank you.
Public Works,
I don't have anything.
and Fire.
And we will get updated on ticket sales in case we do go over the 1,200, correct?
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is Ondich North PD rezoning master plan. Gene Sanchez is the project manager.
Good morning, everybody. This is the rezoning for Ondich North from county rural to city plan development. It's a proposal to develop 196 acres of property into a subdivision and a residential subdivision at that, if we can get. The 1828 plans are always so finicky.
They're from 1820.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry you can't see their master plan right now. It's actually a proposal of a cluster development, which is one of the very few, if we have any here in the city, that we have. I think that the engineers did a fantastic job with it. This was recently annexed into the city. Y'all have seen the future land use amendment, and the designation is really from county rural to residential estates. And this PD, if you look at our current comp plan, you almost have to do a plan development for that future land use designation. So staff has worked with the applicant pretty diligently with their site design plans. We just have it's a lot of housekeeping comments on here, mainly because I couldn't locate. I don't think I saw a proposed land development agreement, but as you can see, they have this clustered site design that preserves a whole lot of green areas and will not be removing as many trees as we initially thought. So I don't have any other questions apart from the questions I have posted on here. I know we've had a little bit of a discussion about photometrics plan, but that is also being coordinated with a third party, Duke Energy. So I don't really have any other comments. I'll defer my time to the applicant.
And the applicant's in attendance. Any questions or comments?
Luke Klassen, 1828 Engineering with the Funky Plans. I don't have any questions or comments. You know, we got the questions or comments from community development. We'll be able to address everything. Nothing stood out to us as of any concern. I know that Dale, I talked to Vlad. He said that some of the review comments may come later on, more at the MDP stage versus the master plan stage, but we welcome any comments if you have them.
Yeah, we always work through the engineering issues.
Okay.
Any questions for the applicant?
I don't know if you can answer this or not, Luke. With your development, Ondage North, Ondage South, and the development off Kelly Park Road that goes all the way through to Ondage,
Mhm.
have any of the traffic studies looked at Ondage and Plymouth Sorrento and the effect of that intersection
I
with
know
all these developments?
I know each one of the traffic reports incorporates all the other developments. So like the Ondage North one or Ondage South didn't include Ondage North because it was before Ondage North, but it did include the crossroads, the increased capacity of Kelly Park for the tri-party agreement with Kelly Park Road, and then the Ondage North traffic report does include Ondage South, crossroads, and the future hospital development off of Effie.
But did it look at the intersection of Ondage and Plymouth Sorrento and the impact to that intersection and how dangerous it may become with all that traffic? Because there's only stop signs there.
I'll have to double check about Ondage and Plymouth Sorrento. I know it did Ondage and Effie, and then Effie and Kelly Park. I don't know about Ondage and Plymouth Sorrento. Let me check with that.
I think reason would tell us that Ondage North and Ondage South, they're going to exit to Ondage and Plymouth Sorrento. They're not going to go down Effie to Kelly Park.
I don't know. I think especially Ondage South, I think would almost no one will go down Ondage because that's the opposite way. Everyone wants to get down to Kelly Park to go to 429 and that kind of corridor. I don't think many people are going north
The speed limit and flow of traffic is going to be much faster on Plymouth Sorrento than it is on Effie,
on Effie. Yeah.
and people take the path of least resistance. So I'm just
Okay.
curious as to what, I know they're both county roads and we don't have a lot of control over, but it seems to me like this intersection may become a concern with all this development going on there.
Okay. I know. Like I said, I know that Effie and Ondage were incorporated as well as Effie and Plymouth Sorrento, but I don't know about. I can go back and I'll work with Bill, who I'm so glad the city just hired, but we can work with him on making sure that traffic report did cover that. I don't know if they did or not, but I can double check that.
All right, thank you.
Any additional questions for the applicant? All right, hearing none. Community development has nothing further but the comments that were generated. Please.
I don't have anything else. Thank you.
Public Works
Don't have anything.
and Fire.
No comments, thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, I believe that same applicant has the next project, Palucci Master Plan. I'm the project manager on this one. It is a planned unit development proposal located near Pumpkin Road and Vic Roads. Primarily residential development that is proposed on the property. The applicant did receive comments from the Development Review Committee. Is there anything you would like to discuss in regards to the comments? I did not get a PowerPoint from you guys.
Elisa Sowell with Shetson Bowen. I believe that we had spoken. Do you want to go through each of the comments?
We can if you'd like, yes.
Oh, we're happy to either do that or we can do that in connection with a sit down because we understand that we'll be coming back
Right.
to provide that. So,
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, if there are comments that you feel that are pertinent to discuss this morning, we can. I know that the amount of comments that were generated were extensive, so it would probably necessitate a meeting to discuss that. But why don't we hear from the Development Review Committee members and see if they have any questions or concerns
I think
before
that
we
would
move
be most
forward.
efficient, yes.
So are there any questions or concerns on this?
First off, I want to thank you and Luke. I know that you all are working diligently and trying to work with us on Pond Can Road, but I am going to express my concerns as how far along this development gets before there is a solution to the road. And I appreciate you offering to take us to your next county meeting so we can express our concerns. I expressed my concerns with Bill so that our transportation coordinator, so he understood them, and maybe he can go with us to the next meeting. But we'd like to have a meeting with the county to see what we need to do about this road to ensure that our community is safe. And I don't know how far along this development gets before we know what's going to happen with that road.
Understood.
Thank you.
Public Works or Fire, any
Yeah,
questions?
I
or
understand.
comments?
I think y'all have been working with Vlad about some of the open spaces, so we look forward to working with you on that.
Fire, do you have any questions or comments?
I agree with Chief McKinley on this. I think we need to get an answer on the roadways just to make us feel a little more comfortable about the whole process and what's going on. So,
Okay. All right. Do you have anything to add?
We are scheduling a meeting with Orange County, not next week, the week after, and so we should have that date hopefully today or tomorrow, and we'll be able to provide that to you and to Bill, and be able to coordinate on that next step for Poncan Road.
Okay. And again, I appreciate your cooperation, but
Nope.
we've got to get this resolved.
Yeah.
It's a very big concern across our community, and rightfully so. You know, and we've looked at their plans and your plans, and there has to be some kind of solution here.
Yeah. So we'll be able to have some kind of answers or some more coordination at least before we resubmit.
Have you let them know we'd like to come?
Yeah, we told them that, and so they're aware. They're trying to schedule the meeting. We should get an answer hopefully today.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, so it sounds like the consensus is we got some work to do on this one. We got comments that were generated. There'll be resubmittal, some meetings to go over some of the comments as they were very extensive on this. So community development has nothing further other than the comments that were generated. Police, anything
I don't have
additional?
anything else. Thank you.
Public Works
Nothing extra.
and Fire.
No other comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is, let me get the agenda. Apopka Single Family Construction Site Plan, second submittal, and June Song is the project manager.
Good morning. This is the second submittal of the CSP requesting revision to the previously approved CSP for a development consisting of 7 single-family detached units within mixed-use downtown area. The subject properties are located in 220 South Highland Avenue. Future land use is mixed use. Zoning is mixed use downtown. Is applicant available? Applicant is available for any comments.
All right, an applicant is here in attendance for any questions or comments from the DRC.
Hi, this is Maria, representing the Schmidt Engineering. We received the comments from planning and stormwater. We are already addressing them. I do have one question regarding one of them. I don't know if you guys can answer it. Otherwise, I think we're good. Can I?
Yeah,
propose it?
absolutely. Yes.
It is regarding the comment need a design on the wall around the pond. This design is like a decorative wall, what you guys are asking for, or like the calculations of the wall per se?
We're asking for the calculations of the wall. It's a rather deep pond right next to an alley.
Awesome.
So it needs to be a good structural design. It's not a decorative wall.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's what I thought, but then like, since it wasn't like worded like that, I was just like, just in case. Okay, perfect. I don't have any other questions.
All right, any additional questions for the applicant?
I brought this up a long time ago and haven't brought it up lately. I apologize. The alleyway that runs between the sections of homes here, how far is the pavement going to go? Is it going to stop at the back of those first row of houses on Highland, or is it going to go all the way down past that pond? My concern is when we have alleyways like that just dead end, they become dumping grounds for everybody's garbage. If we create a little nice path for them to travel down, then they think it's a nice place to dump their tires, their garbage, yard waste, and everything else.
Totally, I seen it myself. Yeah, it's true.
And I don't know what the city's requirement is for how long that has to be paved.
So I just don't see it on the plans like showing as an improvement. And it's unless that you're, yeah, like
Is there a city requirement that it has to go past that first set of property lines all the way along the pond, or can it stop there so that people can't drive down a field and just dump all their garbage?
because we are proposing this drainage structure on that alley, and I will think that in order to do it, we will improve that. But I don't see on our plans it is out of our property line. Yeah, exactly as you see there. So I can see on the plans it's 10, and I think if you need it, we can show it how. And I will think it will, if any, it will end at the corner of the property.
Which is down by the pond or
Yes, down by the pond, like all the way from the entrance to down by the pond. But yeah, because you notice we're not proposing any grades on the alley or anything. So
so the alley is going to be paved.
It's actually gonna be a crushed concrete. It's not gonna be paved, and I looked at it just as a paving repair, over the storm drainage that's going down to the end of the alley. And I guess, what we could require is, some of those nice diamond shaped, reflector signs to sort of block the alley if you don't want anybody to go any farther.
I'd like to do something because it just the north side of the property or the north side of the pond on the other side of the right alleyway is prime dumping for garbage. Doesn't make your complex look good. Doesn't make the city look good. And we all know when you have little opportunities like that, they're going to take full advantage of it. And that just creates more work for the police department and code enforcement.
So why don't we add those 3 diamond signs, and really at the entrance of the alley, just put a dead end sign just to keep curious people from riding down, because, it's not paved now and people like to ride.
no, yep, that makes sense.
Okay, thank you.
No, of course.
Anything additional for the applicant? All right. Hearing none. Community
you.
development has nothing further. Police.
I don't have anything else. Thank you.
Public works.
Just address all the comments.
All right. And fire.
No comments, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay. The next item on the agenda is Chandler Oaks Construction Site Plan Third Submittal. I'm the project manager. The applicant is here in attendance. You received comments from the DRC, and as typical, I can't get the plan to load. But we'll have to use our imaginations until I can get it to work. Planning had no additional comments on this one. I believe the outstanding issues might have been with Public Works on this. So Brian, if you'd like to address the DRC, and I'll try and get the plan to load.
It's all good. Brian Ashby, Kinley Horn and Associates. Yeah, I think there were only 2 outstanding comments. One was a repeat comment, I believe, from fire about the fire truck size. That was updated. The dimension of the truck, we were 1/100th off on the last submittal. We updated that and reran the auto turn. So that has been addressed. And then the only other one was we received a new comment from Public Services related to, well, it was a comment specifically about solid waste pickup on the one-way alleys. And so the alleys that we're showing are meet the minimum dimensions required by code. Actually, it's a little bit more than code. They're 18 feet wide. And this is kind of a new comment for us. So just kind of wanting to understand if this is a comment that we're looking to be addressed, or if it's more of an informational comment, or
it needs to be addressed because I didn't realize we were doing this until I reviewed one of the other subdivisions. It's allowed these one-way alleys, and now we're requiring, because the sanitation trucks use the arms to unload them, we're requiring that sanitation truck to go against the flow of traffic against your alley, which opens the city up to liability.
Okay, so this, I guess we're meeting city code requirements for the alley. Okay. So how would you like for us to proceed?
And I've talked to our sanitation division. The trucks need to have the garbage cans on their right side. So with some of these alleys that you only have townhomes on one side, mm-hmm. you can reverse the flow and make sure that the garbage truck and the cans are on the right, the right side. Some of them you've got them, there's nobody putting out garbage cans. On the alleys that have houses on both sides, we may require that the garbage cans go just on the right side, because as the chief has pointed out, if he turns around and comes back the other way, he's violating the law. People are backing out of their driveways. They're not expecting to see somebody come from that direction. So
sure.
There's a nice possibility. So there's 2 solutions. When you look at it, make sure that as you select your one way, that the houses are on the right and you're moving in that direction so the garbage truck can pick up those. And on the 2-way alleys in the HOA documents, and I know that's going to irritate the people who live on the side that has the 2 cans, but it's the only way that we can do it safely.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that was going to be something that wanted to discuss with y'all if it could be something that could be an HOA requirement in those areas.
Well, and the two-way alleys, that can be an HOA requirements. On the ones that are just one ways, you just need to change the signing on your plans because you do show directional errors.
Yeah, they're all one ways.
But they need,
Yeah,
some of them need to change the direction of the one way so the cans are on the correct side.
understood. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Understood. So if they are, if just want to clarify before I go back and talk to the owners, reverse the flow if needed of traffic, and then have the HOA documents require that all trash receptacles be on the right hand side of the alley or in the direction of the flow on the right hand side
Right,
of the alley.
that's correct.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think that's a problem.
There needs to be some kind of notification to them, and I'm sure after the first week they don't get their garbage can.
Exactly.
Had it on the left side, they'll start putting
You'll
it on
learn
the right
very
side
fast.
sooner or later. But I'm gonna ask a question and show my ignorance as far as traffic goes. But if the roads are 18 foot, what is the width it needs to be two-way?
Minimum of 20 and preferably 24. So it's wider than a single lane.
I know he meets the land development code, but to me, I think this is something that we need to address in land development code so that we don't run into this issue and make sure that these alleyways are two-way, flowing two ways.
Yeah, we were matching most of the other developments around us when we put the major development plan together.
No, and I get it.
Yeah.
I'm not an engineer. I don't know
Yeah.
how to read plans, but when I go out and look at these subdivisions that are being built, and then I turn the wrong way down an alley and go, well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I didn't realize we were allowing one-way traffic that now creates some issues and potential liability for the city.
Now, their plans basically have enough signing to show do not enter
Yes.
one way. So they're at least signed, but we know how well people sometimes follow the
Oh, yeah,
signs.
there's no doubt in my mind they're not going to pay attention. If their house is on the corner, they're not going all the way down the street and around the block to get to their house on the corner. They're going against the flow of traffic. It's human nature.
People will do whatever they want to do. Amen.
I know. That's why I
signs
said it's human
signs
nature.
can't stop everything, even stop signs.
Thank you.
And other than that, I think those are the only two outstanding comments, which hopefully Fire we're able to, if you don't mind, just maybe taking another look at the plan. We did make that adjustment to the fire truck. Okay. Yes, sir. Thank you. And then we'll go back and take a second look at the directionals, and then talk to the owners about updating the HOA docs for the right hand side trash pickup. So, other than that, I don't believe there were any outstanding comments. I think from engineering, are we waiting on? Do we know if we're waiting on any additional comments for any other departments?
Believe, did Public Works turn in the comments yet?
They addressed all the comments from
Okay.
the previous submittal,
Okay.
but there's a couple of issues that I've looked at, and unfortunately being the first time that I've looked at the plans, and they were reviewed before, but on your entrance road, you've got about a 10 or 12 foot drop off with your double walls,
Mm-hmm.
and I realize you've got standard high curb. Yeah, I really think if I was the designer of the project, I would put some guardrail.
We have guardrail there.
No, you have a handrail.
No, we if you look on the plans, we do.
Okay, then I missed that, so we don't need to.
There's guardrail in multiple locations along the that road, and then along one of our alleyways as well. Yes, sir.
And then the only other concern that I had is you're discharging off-site,
Mhm.
and Florida common law says that you have the right to, as long as you do it responsibly. And that responsibly is you don't change the point of discharge or the velocity. And I think your discharge structure has done that. And and I think you may have lost your right to a downstream easement, because before you had sheet flow and that
Mhm.
was, and you've got to admit that spillway is a lot more than sheet flow. I didn't make a comment on it because all the engineering has been approved, but I'd just like to make the comment to you as the engineer that in Florida, the downstream owner must accept water from the upstream owner.
Absolutely.
As long as it doesn't change in velocity or the point of discharge. And if you're comfortable with that, I just don't think the spillway is the same velocity as what was going overland onto their property.
We have looked at that. That's why we made the spill. I mean, I could have made the spillway about 5 feet wide, just because the total volume that's actually leaving the site is we're holding back a lot, and so we actually sized that to meet velocity. because the landwear that's out there today is very similar in size, and so that's why we did that. I mean, we'll take another look. We're supposed to be getting our last round of St. John's comments or approval here in the next week. I believe they'll be looking at the same thing. Rick Sobchak over there at St. John's. But yes, we feel comfortable with it, with the location. It was picked for that exact reason. But I mean, we'll go back and certainly take another look at it.
I mean, and most of the time in situations like this, you end up with some sort of, fairly long spreader swale to truly turn it back to sheet flow. So
Yes, sir.
I just want to, everything else was approved. I'm not going to go back and have you recreate the wheel, but I just really wanted to let you know that that's sort of my interpretation of state common law. And
Yes, sir. Okay, we will definitely go back and I'll go back and specifically look at velocity calcs that we did for that and double check, and then our point of discharge as well. But I do know we're significantly reducing the flow and the rate. So
I'd like to talk to you about that outside of the meeting then.
Sure. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And did you submit your velocity? You see, you normally don't submit a velocity.
No.
Yeah,
It's just
but
the
I'd
Weir
like-
equation, just the Weir equation, and looking at the velocity
Right,
from
that's
that.
But how did you do the pre-development velocity?
Oh no! When I say velocity, I'm looking at pre-post discharge, so
Okay,
cubic feet per
that's
second.
feet rate. Okay,
Mhm.
that's not a and you notice the state law, and which is really strange, doesn't speak to discharge; it speaks to velocity.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. And we have a ton of bank and shore riprap there as well to dissipate the energy to reduce that velocity. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to talk with you after the meeting. Absolutely,
I'd like
that'd be great. Yeah, yes, sir.
Anything additional for the applicant? All right, hearing none, community development has nothing further. Police,
I don't have anything else. Thank you.
public works.
I've said my piece.
All right, and fire.
No comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Brian.
Thanks.
We'll see you. Okay. Next item is a discussion item that is presented by Recreation. It's car and Jeep show, just like Mama's Soul Food and Wings. On down.
This event went to DRC last week and was requested with some additional comments and updates on the layout. To recap, this is just like Mama's Soul Food and Wings. They're looking to do a car and Jeep show on Saturday, August 2nd from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. on 5th Street. They're expecting about 200 attendees. The updates that we have are there'll be no admission fee or entry fee into the event, so it'll be a free event. They're working on taking down their advertising from it previously being a admission fee event. We have also updated the layout, and it'll be just like the market on 5th Street with an open lane in the middle of 5th Street for emergency vehicles to pass if they need to. Attendees will be able to enter from the South Park Avenue side on the side of the parking lot and enter the parking lot through the back of the 5th Street parking lot. This is set up just like the market on 5th Street, and the applicant is here for any questions.
All right. Does the applicant have any items they wish to address before the DRC, the Development Review Committee? Do I have anything to say? Yeah. If you do, could you please come to the mic so we can get it on the record?
Bobby, can you move the map up a little bit? Thank you.
I don't have anything. So I just wanted to reiterate that we're not charging originally. My sister does car shows, and she just had the biggest one in Central Florida on the 4th weekend. But the setup was different. So, but she came the other day and seeing that it would be probably impossible to do it to charge. So we took that off. The thing, and we do still have flyers up that's showing entry fee, but it's $85 per flyer if we fix it, so we're not charging. So
Okay. Any questions for the applicant? Any additional?
Are we, and thank you for that, because it was going to be near impossible because there are open businesses there that, you'd have to differentiate, even your own business.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to go visit your business versus the
Right.
car show, how are you going to
right,
determine
and
who-
vendors. So we
Right.
just
Are we parking any of the event in the parking lot? Are we on the street only?
We're on the street only. That's you, Alexi? I just heard on the phone. But I had asked her about the parking lot, said that it was unavailable just for attendees only. But I'm not sure, we're at this time, not sure how many cars we're gonna have. And I know we can't put vendors out there, so I don't know what's your thoughts about that.
Well, in the past, we've restricted the market to only the center aisle,
Okay.
and that's it. When they first opened, because the fire department needs ingress and egress from the
Hmm.
first row and the one over by Halls on Fifth Street,
Okay.
because they can't make that turn behind the feed store.
Gotcha.
So we can move the patrol car so they can get in there. But the biggest thing is obviously that parking lot provides access to the customers for all the
Yes.
businesses, to include yours
Right.
too. So the more you limit that, I think you're going to have to get the buy-in from the businesses to make sure they know that you're going to limit a certain section, that center row or whatever, with cars, which will limit their ability
They're at, yeah.
to park there. Do we have an event at the VFW?
Permit and what we've been through with the market is they don't put any of the event in the parking lot. It has to stay on the street because the parking lot remains open for public parking. So
Hmm.
But when the market first started, they were just in that
Yeah.
center until they grew, and then they grew out to the street
Yeah.
as they continue to grow out. So, but there is no event at the VFW, so there will be parking available at the VFW if attendees for the restaurants or the event needed that also. Okay, I just want to make sure there's enough parking
I
for
appreciate
everybody
that.
to and get
Yeah.
along. And obviously, you have the grass parking lot across Central from the VFW that's used
Hmm.
for large events too. So if you have anybody that's helping and traffic becomes or parking becomes an issue, you might have somebody try to direct attendees over to that grass lot.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you
Thank
for all
you.
your cooperation.
I appreciate you.
Okay. Hearing nothing else, community development has no further comments. Police,
I don't have anything else. Thank you.
public works,
No comments.
and fire.
No comments. Thank you.
All right. It's my understanding that this will be presented to City Council tonight, correct? Okay. All right.
What was the date and time of that?
August 2nd.
August 2nd.
All right. Any other additional items for discussion? I'd just like to introduce our new transportation coordinator, Bill Wharton. He's here, and he will be invaluable to us. So, with that,
Just
we are adjourned.
Real quick, I'm sorry. Does transportation or public works think we need to address this one-way alley issue, or are we good with it? And if we aren't good with it, who takes the lead on changing the land development code to stop these one-way alleys and make them two-way? I mean, we're talking 2 feet, right, that they need to add to the roadway?
Well, and I'm not sure, and we'd probably have to talk to the developers. You know, I'm sure there's a reason why they want one-way alleys because they don't really need it for, transportation. But, yeah, if it's from a, safety standpoint, that would be one thing. If, we were looking at it, really strictly from a public works and, sanitation, picking up the garbage. And Vlad and I have been talking about changes to the land development code, and to the muni code, and he's tasked me with starting to gather the stuff up. So I was going to at least address it from a sanitation standpoint, to where any one-way alley, the housing would have to be on the right, and if there's housing on both sides, it would have to be addressed in the CDD. The same thing that we just said. So that's sort of the language that we will put in the next revision of the muni code or the land development code. And I was told, because the comp plan is just about ready to be approved, that right after that comes the changes to the land development code. So, we are working on that. So if y'all need it from a fire safety or
We can go against the flow of traffic.
Well,
Florida
yeah, that's
statutes
what I'm
allows
saying.
us that opportunity. I'm concerned about opening up the city to liability with the garbage trucks or other work trucks going down these one-way alleys to perform work, and somebody backing into them, or people parking in places they're not supposed to, which they tend to do all the time. And I'm just trying to make it easier for your drivers of these big garbage trucks to traverse down these alleyways, because we've made it where they have to have lighting, and all the homes have to face a name street now. They can't face an alley. Like we started that development process here in the city of Apopka, and we got rid of that, where the homes have to face a name street. The alleys have to have on-street lighting for safety for the residents. But now we have run into this other thing, and with all due respect to the developers, it's not driven by them. It's driven by what our needs are. They can, I'm sure they're doing this because it cuts 2 feet, and 2 feet might add the ability to have more houses. But when it comes to liability and opportunity for the city and safety of our employees, they can cut a couple houses out if they have to.
And you probably talk to a planner and find this out, but I think some of the original reasons for the garages and the parking in the back was to push the houses closer to the front because everybody wants these nice walkable communities. There are some of them that make sure that they have front porches as though people in Florida are going to sit out in the 95-degree weather on their front porch and talk to their neighbors.
Right, and I'm not opposed to the rear-loaded product. It has just come with some unintended consequences that we've had to address. Is you drive around because again, I don't understand all the development plans that come before us, but then when I start driving around the subdivision, I go, "What in the world did we do here?" It becomes non-conducive, and things just come up, and we just need to correct them as they come up.
And if you hadn't brought it up at the last DRC, first thing I did is I went back and talked to Joshua and said, how much of a problem is this? And he went back and looked at Golden Gym and this one, and he said, yes, this is a problem. He talked about possibly having to get a smaller garbage truck, hire more crews, and then he said, and then what do? Do you spread that cost over every citizen, or does that subdivision go from the $20 a month to $50 or $75 a month? And that's something that wouldn't work very well. So
No, because
so it's a problem, and we really, because like I said, we hadn't thought about it because I hate to say it, sometimes civil engineers we just look down so hard at the hard stuff. Every now and again we need to pick up our heads and
right. No, and there's sometimes, just like I said, unintended consequences that we have to address. And I don't think that our community, those buying the homes or our existing residents, should be encumbered to buy new garbage trucks because developers want to create one-way alleys. We can stop that by making two-way alleys if we have to in the land development code and address this issue if that's in the best interest of the city and the residents that are going to live there.
So because it's two different groups here, is that something that planning ought to take the lead on and sort of schedule a meeting and let's
we should all probably have a sit down. You are right, Mr. Smith. We transmitted the comprehensive plan to the state. So once we get that back, it'll be scheduled for an adoption hearing before the city council. After that, then we would start the land development code rewrite. But in the meantime, we could do what have been termed glitch amendments in the past to kind of address this issue. So we could all have a meeting, like a staff meeting, to talk about that and then bring it forward if that's something that we feel needs to be done. There are a couple other things that need to be put in the code, such as plating. Plating is now per the state legislature administrative approvals. It doesn't go to planning commission or city council anymore. So we'll have to put something in the land development code about that in regards to that, and then the city council will adopt a resolution on that as well. And there's some other things from the legislature that has been carried down that we'll probably have to put into the code as well.
Good.
My concern is we just don't want to create an environment for our sanitation employees that makes their job tougher than what it already is. Because I sure wouldn't want to drive that garbage truck around Apopka and pick up all these garbage cans. And if we're doing something or allowing something that makes their job harder, so I'd really like to know, what do those out in the field feel? Because they're the ones that are affected by this, not us.
And that's why, like I said, the first thing I did, I was glad that you brought it up. I had never thought about it in the past. Talked to Joshua. He said, well, on these we can sort of work out a solution. And if and I guess if planning could take the lead on getting a meeting with police, fire, and public services, and we'll bring Joshua there, and let's work out what we think is in the best interest of the city, and then we can start applying that as a one-off until we can change the code.
All right. Anything additional? All right. We are adjourned.